Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Diving into the Mind of. Today's patient is Maximus Confesses, that is. Let us use the surgical knives to dive into today's interesting patient. And yes, there will be a lot of blood, so cover the eyes of the children. Anyways,
That better all have an analogy, otherwise I severely misunderstood the context of this interview.
yes. But no, seriously though, welcome and thank you for showing up to the interview, Max.
Anytime.
All right, so give us in a nutshell what it is you do. You have you're an apologist, am I correct?
Correct. Mostly dealing with the atheism versus Christian theism side of the online debate.
Mm. So, as an apologist, what is an apologist? Does that mean you say you're sorry, and when you say you handle the theist and atheist thing, I don't know. Do you go to the atheist and say, "I'm sorry for what we've done"?
No, apologia, it comes from the Greek. It means to give a defense. The point of the matter is atheists have certain objections to the Christian religion, and I do my best to field such skepticisms, concerns, critiques, and supply the best answer I can.
Mm. And what would you say? Because if I'm correct, I've heard there's also different kinds of methods for apologetics. Which one would you say is the most efficient that you've learned to use in your ministry?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I think the approach one takes is going to be a pragmatic one. There's going to be an approach that suits everybody a little differently. Um, I find the one that best suits me is the cumulative case method, which we look at all the background facts, information, approach we take to the world, and then we look at which worldview is better able to answer and make sense of these background facts.
Sounds interesting so far. All right, so hold on. But getting tired these days. Niche, why? But I will say this: I've seen your content, and it's very interesting, especially the intro, the opening intro, because it's like it's got that good cowboy deal with the actors on there, and then there's that theme song. Bow, 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 bow.
Yeah, the theme song was made by Christopher Mouty. He was nice enough to put something together. I said I want a little bit of funk with a tiny bit of hip hop influence, and he was kind enough to field that for me. Now, the song was twice as long as it is in the introduction, so we had to take it and cut it up a bit to fit the shorter intro. And the intro was put together by Sean G. I originally picked the background footage, which was from a movie in the public domain by I don't really Angel and the Bad Man. That was the name of it. And I took a bit of scenery from it, put Mouty's background music to it, but it wasn't really that good because I was just using Microsoft Movie Maker. So I took it to somebody who's just fantastic at video and editing, Sean G, and he managed to put it together for me. So I had an intro ready because of a friendship I had with Christopher Mouty and with Sean, both of whom are atheists, but there is a bit of mutual respect there, and I'm very grateful to both of them.
Because I know Mouty is very respectful, of course, to theists. He's looking to engage in an honest discussion. But then, when it comes to Sean, he's kind of come off as the anti-theist type. So that's kind of. Is there still any kind of conflict between you two?
There was never any conflict between us on a personal level. Granted, he's not too fond of my own worldview, but he's able to work past that and put together something for the sake of audio and visual development. He's really into that. I think he's willing to pretty much help anybody out. And also because I think, again, there's some mutual respect there. I really respect Sean, and I find his work to be pretty tight.
Nice. All right, so let's get to the main thing. So what is the goal with your YouTube videos? You do apologetics videos, but I don't think that's the other thing you I think that's like the main thing you do. You also do some other things on the side. You have these dialogues, I believe, is what they're also called.
Yeah, that's an amendment to the channel. Sometimes I don't get them on. I've missed the last 2 weeks, but I mostly want to focus on the ones that come out every Friday. I missed
Mhm.
this week, so I'm trying to get out a video today, and I'll probably be working on it after this interview is conducted.
Mm. Alrighty then.
Mhm.
Um, One of the things that I have to ask, and this is where the religious deal is going to get involved here. I'm a Protestant, but from what I've heard, you are a Catholic. Am I correct?
That is correct.
All right. So, as you know, Protestants and Catholics have been going at each other's throats since dinosaur times. Am I right?
Well, I mean, 15th century.
15th
Um,
century. That's what I
right.
said, wasn't it?
No, no. Dinosaurs go back a little further. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, the Reformation has gone back a lot of ways. We've kind of separated from there, but most recently in the 21st century, we've managed to strike up a dialogue again, and there has been a lot more camaraderie in that department. Also, because atheism is kind of a mutual enemy, and I don't mean this in an antagonistic way. I mean enemy in the sense of it's kind of something both Protestants and Catholics have had to deal with on the internet together that we just find a lot more in common between us and are willing to work past our differences. So I think that's pretty much come up lately.
So, if I were to bring an atheist on the deal right now, would you be able to refute some of the points that he makes? And this is just a particular atheist that has his view. He's not representing all atheists, but if there was an atheist that I would manage to bring on right now, would you be able to, uh, you know, apply and show an example of your apologetic method to him?
I think I could. I mean, sometimes the answers are a little tricky
Mm.
because they vary in difficulty. Some of them are just laughably easy. Like if God created everything, who created God? That sort of thing.
Oh,
Um,
that's the thing. That's one of his favorite questions. I'm gonna go get him right now. Hold on a sec. Wait here. Hey, I got a guy on here. Yes, he's a theist. Just get in here and leave the spaghetti alone. Hello there.
Hello, not Christian anarchist.
Yes, my name is Shock of Spaghetti. You've probably seen me in one of Christian Anarchist's videos. I've tried to make my debut appearance, but it didn't go so well.
Hmm.
They say we sound alike, but as you know, I'm also Shock of God's illegitimate brother.
And German.
Exactly.
All
This is
right.
the thing, because as you know, people like me, atheists, and Christopher Hitchens, and Dawkins, and Dannett, and Harris, are
Hmm.
also supporters of the Nazi regime. So we're trying to bring back the whole Nazi thing, which is the whole concept of atheism. These aren't my words; these are G-Man's. So, okay. My
Seems
question is,
legit.
yes, my question is this: Uh, so if, according to your Kalam argument, if everything that begins to exist has a cause,
Hmm.
and God, he sometime at some point began to exist, right? Doesn't that mean who created God?
No, God doesn't begin to exist.
Oh, how's
The
that logical, Fardo?
Well, God doesn't begin to exist because nothing caused or created him. God is eternal, timeless, and materialless.
Hmm.
Therefore, so there's no point in time where he could even begin to exist. He is without beginning nor end.
So he has no beginning and no
Right?
end.
Correct?
So he's pretty much going to be stuck here forever.
Right. He doesn't need time to act. In fact, God is so powerful that he sustains time in existence and all events within time. He doesn't need like one moment to think and another moment to act. He rather does it all from eternity.
Okay, that's all I had to ask. I will now let Christiana get back on the deal. I'm going back in the closet. All right, and that was Shock of Spaghetti, ladies and gentlemen, and that was also Maximus Confesses with his, I don't know, and that would be called the Kalam cosmological argument. Was that what y'all was discussing?
I discussed that for one episode, although the Kalam cosmological argument, as Craig formulated, is something I diverge from him from. I've sponsored in the past a Kalam argument against naturalism as opposed to prove the existence of a god. So naturalism just is a little different from atheism because one could technically be an atheist without necessarily being a naturalist, but a naturalist is someone who holds that the universe is running on laws of physics and other things, and these laws always sustain. There's never going to be anything outside of it that could change the universe way, and that's essentially what things like magic and the miraculous boil down to, something which kind of postpones the laws and kind of brings out unique events. That's something naturalists decline and don't even hold that there is something that can change these things.
All right, so we've gone over that, but with the whole Protestant and Catholic thing, because I remember we was discussing it, and then somehow we ended up diverging into this whole deal. But I don't know.
Blame the German.
Yeah, blame. We always gotta blame those Germans, and I'm half German or part German, anyways. I don't know. It's like, to me, there are some things with Catholicism doctrine I disagree with, but unless I've met people that, for example, like a guy named Oucher Owl, who's a Catholic but is a young Earth creationist, which is rare these days, from what I hear. Apparently,
it's rare, but it's perfectly legitimate. The Catholic Church doesn't invoke that people be anything that doesn't theologically cohere. So, for example, you could be someone like myself who does hold to evolution and a lot of evolutionary history, and you could be an old Earth creationist, a young Earth creationist like Archer Owl. All of those are perfectly legitimate.
Have you ever spoken to Oucher Owl before?
I haven't, but I have put in a message or a request to speak to him. I'm not sure if he's got it. He hasn't responded. I'm not even sure if he's seen the message. But yeah, Archer Owl is someone who is going to be very interesting to talk to if I get the chance, because he does hold to something very unique, at least from my own perspective.
So your view of the theistic evolution, as they would say, does it stem from the scientific world, or do you think you can find any indications within the holy scriptures of the canonized scriptures to support your thesis?
There's nothing I know of in scripture that indicates evolution at all. But then again, there's nothing in scripture that indicates anything in quantum mechanics, and there's nothing that indicates anything in chemistry. Like, there's a lot of science not even spoken about. Yet I accept that just based off of empirical claims and things I can trust on an empirical level. And because evolution seems to be the best empirical theory we have, I do have some commitments to it.
All right. Do you think that the other beings were evolving, and that man was a special kind of creation that just came about later and came from the ground, as the Bible would illustrate? Or do you think that we do share the common ancestor that had evolved at some point from the primate family?
Right. So this is how I look at sacred history and evolution. So when it comes to understanding the Bible and creation, one has to realize that in Near Eastern literature, which what the Old Testament was being written under, what was going on is human beings are given purpose in creation. It's not talking about a materialist ontology. It's talking about a functionalist ontology. And here's the main difference. A material ontology is how we think of things today. When I make a bed, for example, it's not considered made until all the material is put together. There's a mattress on top. Wood is holding up the mattress, things of that nature. And even if nobody ever sleeps on it, it's still a bed. Now, if I was to look at how the ancients viewed such a thing, it's not considered a bed until someone sleeps on it. It's not considered a bed until it meets its function. And when it comes to the Bible, what's going on there is God is creating in the sense of giving a functional ontology to creation. He's not putting together the atoms and the molecules or speaking everything into existence just using his words. What's going on is God is forming creation itself,
Mhm.
and he is instilling a purpose onto it. If you read First Genesis, it's like the construction of a temple, and he's not just making a temple out of bricks and mortar and putting it in a specific location. The whole cosmos is his temple. He is not the god of the sun or the moon or the stars. He is, in fact, the god overall. He's not limited to any specific domain.
Mm.
And when he rests on the seventh day, what's going on there is he's claiming dominion over his creation in the same way that when a god rests in a temple, they claim dominion over the temple. So what the Jews are doing is reimagining the whole of the universe in a very monotheistic way, where God is just reigning over all of it. That
Mhm.
is how he's instilling purpose into the whole thing. That's how I think one should best understand First Genesis. Second Genesis and Third Genesis should be understood as God creating Adam as the archetype human being. He is considered the high priest over all creation, and he is taking a position where he acts as a mediator, and he's given headship over all of humanity. What's going on there isn't that God is illustrating a story where he's creating Adam just from flesh and bones and just from creating him from the molecules in the dirt. Rather, what God is doing is creating Adam in light of a purpose over creation. And
Hmm.
that is how Adam has dominion, not from being our flesh and bone ancestor, but mostly from being the high priest and archetypal man overall. And that is kind of where he stands over the whole thing.
Hmm. Very interesting. Thanks for the lecture on that. Thanks for explaining. Ladies and gentlemen, give it a round of applause for Maximus.
Thank you.
All right, so now
Um, so that's just my own view, and it's a theologically acceptable one. The Catholic Church just demands, as doctrine, that we acknowledge the special role of humans in creation. And I do acknowledge that human beings have something special over all animals. We even have a soul, or the rational self is how we can better understand it. Other animals, even though they're sentient, they can feel pain, anguish. They're not rational in the sense of being able to conduct logical syllogisms, do high level mathematics, things of that nature. Whereas when God puts that potency within us, that is how human beings as a family are best able to understand their role in light of creation. So that is the main difference between human beings being special over all other animals. Human beings are rational animals, whereas other animals are brutes. That is the main distinction. And that puts me well into Catholic orthodoxy. Catholics cannot deny the historicity of Adam. That is something that is considered anathema. And it's not, and I think as long as I acknowledge Adam's ancestry over all human beings and his dominion, then I'm well within orthodoxy. Archer Owl is well within orthodoxy as a young Earth creationist, even though we disagree. And there are old Earth creationists who I'm sure also stand in relation to being orthodox as well. The only people I'd consider to be outside of orthodox understanding would probably be theistic evolutionists who would look to first, second, and third Genesis also as a lie as well. not a lie, but purely allegory.
Right.
Pure Adam doesn't exist, Eve doesn't exist. None of the people discussed discuss exist. That sort of stuff.
Right. All right. All right. So let us get into an interesting question thing. So for the moment, let's get serious. If we're able to do that, are we?
No, I'm fully capable of being serious.
All right. Let's do that then. So first off, is this? What does this look like to you?
I'm not seeing anything on the screen.
Not seeing anything.
No, I'm afraid I'm not seeing anything. Okay. That seems to be one of those I'm not sure what they're called. Warshock tests. That's it. It's a little
Yep.
card that's meant to ask people what's the first thing they see when they see it. To me, that looks like a set of ovaries.
And why do you
That's
think that is?
no, that's just what first comes to my mind.
I don't know.
Either that or I have a lot of other issues.
Could it be that it's because you're a terrorist?
I'm not sure what's going on here.
Where were you on 9/11?
Grade 3?
Fair answer. All right. We'll accept it for now. Till then, we have to go to the next question because we don't have that much time. Well, then again, we may. Who knows? God does. Anyways, next question. When you look at this chick, first off, to make sure we can test the picture thing again, can you see anything or do you still have a blank screen again?
I still have a blank screen.
It may just take a while to load up. Let me know if it does because you could see it last time, but it may just be
Okay,
loading.
she's kind of an upset anime girl.
Yes. Okay. So, based on what you're looking at, what do you think she's thinking of? And she's looking at you, so keep that in mind. What is she thinking about when she has this face, her arms are crossed, and she's looking straight at you, Maximus Confesses?
I left the toilet seat up again.
Brilliant. I knew that's what she was thinking. All right. So far we have given Max $50 for that answer, and we'll make sure it goes into an offshore bank account.
Okay.
All right. But now the serious question comes. What does Maximus Confesses, the Catholic, have to say about the pedophilia charges against the church? Because as we know, G-Man and a few others, our popes of Protestants, apparently have stated that one reason we can disprove Christianity for the Catholics, the Catholics can't be Christian because they're pedophiles and they love touching little boys and all that. Maximus, what's the defense on this?
All right. Well, in terms of the pedophilia happening in itself, that's not what a lot of people are upset about. What a lot of people are upset about is higher ups within the church taking these priests, switching them over to diocese, and protecting them from legal charges outside of the church. In terms of pedophilia within Protestant churches, it's still there. There are still Protestant pastors who do the same thing, and I've heard it reported as well, and I've even heard it to be of an even greater extent than Catholic churches. The thing is, people who go after children are most likely to go after them in jobs that they could get best access to them. And I mean, that's present not only within the church, but also within kindergartens, child therapy, things of that nature as well. A further thing to point out is it's one thing to claim that someone's a bad person. It's another thing entirely to claim that they're wrong. Someone could be completely terrible as a person, but still be right. I mean, Hitler can still be right, even though he's a monster of a human being. At the end of the day, to attack somebody's character and not their argument is fallacious. It's
Mhm.
not something that is of any note and not something worth addressing. In terms of the church itself, yeah, I mean, big screw up on the church's end. I'm not going to deny that. It's not something that should be applauded at all, and it's something that that requires reform. Fortunately, Pope Francis has actually put in tribunals for bishops who have been hiding pedophile priests, and there's more reform on that angle. And they're actually doing a pretty good job of changing from within. So that's something to at least be commended.
Right on. All right. So, next question, and we're gonna need a drum roll for this one because it's epic. It's just so suspenseful. Drum roll, please. Do you prefer hot dogs or corn dogs?
Never had a corn dog before, so I'll go with hot dog.
All right, and that is the correct answer, ladies and gentlemen. He got an A+ for that one.
Wait, actually, I have had a corn dog before. It was like a hot dog with batter around it, and it was on a stick, pogos. Yeah, I still prefer hot dogs. Not a huge fan of corn dogs.
All right. So, the next question comes up. Are you enjoying this interview?
It's all right. I enjoy having a chance to talk on air.
All right, fair answer. All right, so far that's the Q&A segment. And now we come back to just regular discussion. We've been brothers and good friends on this community and in Christianity in general, I assume, right?
Correct.
Would you say anything that I believe that you would disagree with?
Like in this interview or just in general?
Just in general.
Let's see. I think we're in disagreement over whether or not homosexuality is a sin. That's something that we've
True.
had our differences on.
I remember that Baldy was, if anyone's not familiar with him, Baldy or Jack was a guy on. He was he was one of our good Catholic apologists that hosted one of his hangouts, and he's gone. We haven't seen him, and I haven't seen him personally in a while, and he was a very good guy. But the last time we talked, he made a video about church, and they were allowing the homosexual marriage thing, and he's like, stop excusing sexual sin. And then he made the same comments to me when I think it was Deidre or Maximus that told him my position on the ideal, and Baldy was pretty riled up with that.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's zealous for his faith, and that's a good thing. I would agree with him, and I think what kind of put him off was how people in the Church of England were kind of allowing it. And yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're going to profess Christianity, you got to stick with the scriptures on it, and I think the scriptures do testify against homosexual actions. Not only that, but also natural law, which I would also emphasize. And yeah, another thing to take into account of our differences is the Protestant Catholic dynamic. So I don't think you're for infant baptism, so I think that's a disagreement among us.
Right.
Yeah. And
I don't think I don't think there's like any heresy deal in it. Like I don't believe in baptism regeneration. I think that baptism is just a thing that one does as an expression of their confessed faith, and one can do the same thing with infant baptism, but I don't think it's like going to really mean anything necessarily from the baby's perspective. Maybe for the family, it's like, you know, an idea of getting the baby involved within a Christian family and whatnot.
Well, the point of it is, it's the way I see it is infant baptism is the introduction for the child into the Church of Christ. That is the new covenant. They are rejuvenated from original sin, and they are introduced into the church proper, and they can be considered, judged, and looked upon as Christians for any future action. This encourages families to treat the child as Christians throughout their whole lives, and not something that they choose to be later on. It's something that we do to indoctrinate them into the faith as children.
Hmm.
And yes, I do use the term indoctrinate.
All
Um,
right. Okay,
we
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 got a news update that we just like to report. Apparently, um, Nephilim Free is standing right outside my door. He found out that you were going to be on the show, Max, and he's been wanting to talk to you real badly. I don't know what it is
oh,
with you and
it's because he has a gay crush on me.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what the whole deal is with you and
He
him. I mean,
wants me.
I don't know. I told him no, and then he said Calvinism is a damnable heresy, and if you believe in eternal hellfire, you're going to hell. And it's all because I said no to the guy. I mean,
He doesn't take no for an answer.
apparently,
Just like an angry girlfriend, an
no.
angry
Oh,
ex-girlfriend.
wait, hold on. There we go. Thank you, drummer. You were a bit late on that one. Anyways, uh, but yes, this I think was a very interesting interview. We've gotten to go over some good topics, gone over some controversies, and for crying out, hold on. Nephilim Free, go away! Dang, he was. I have a window right behind me occasionally, all the time. He's right out there, just creeping me out.
Well,
Yeesh.
you see, Christian anarchist, I wanna jump your Calvinist bones and take you away from that damnable heresy.
Wait, are we talking about Nephilim Free or Johnny KZJ?
No, I'm talking about Nephilim Free. I can't do a Johnny KZG accent.
Alright.
Uh,
Speaking of accents, let's do that. Let's do Wheel of Impersonations.
oh no, I cannot for the life of me do that.
Oh, well, we'll see. We'll just try it for once, and then if it goes nowhere, we'll see how it goes. First off, Gus Bellinger.
Maximus, stop thinking your thinky thoughts for a second and just apply some dang common sense. That's my best guess
Uh,
an impersonation. Although he has a far lower tone than I do.
oh yeah, he's a very good radio voice kind of guy. All right, so next voice we have Saint Tommy.
Let's see. I am not an antinomian. I have never been one. All I care about is God's grace and not being put to shame by legalists and people who demand works of salvation. That was pretty terrible. That just sounded like me regurgitating St. Tommy's own beliefs. Love you, Tommy.
Oh, you gotta go like put the accent like we just got to believe in the goodness of grace and follow Christ Jesus. Amen. Okay, how about this one? This should be good because I know you two have had an encounter. Matt Slick.
Oh, that's a bit tough.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, you know what? I'm just gonna stop here because
Are,
I am no good at these accents.
are you sure? Because I was about to ask you the last one you do was Pillbox. So
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I'll embarrass myself any further by doing the accents.
uh,
Their ideas are crazy enough. Let's just, if you want to talk about that, we could just stick to that subject.
well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been diving into the minds. So far, we found the patient was very interesting. I don't know, there was some gizzards and guts we had to move around, but we eventually found interesting conversations that got nitty and gritty. We got the essentials that was needed out of this, such as the topics of the introduction, which is always the most important, and then we get to the fun interview section. So before we end this, Maximus, would you like to name off some links and how people can follow you or what they should check out from you?
Sure. My channel is Maximus Confesses. I'll be happy to share with you the link, Christian Erica, so you can put it in the description bar below.
All right.
And you could also follow me and my blog on Skeptic Free Thought, skepticfreethought.com/ymaximus. That you could also put in the description bar below. And I usually try to fire off 2 posts per week. And that's how you guys could reach me.
All right. Well, thank you, Maximus. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show.
Oh, pleasure to be here.
So until then, make sure you eat your vegetables, because you never know when you're the one that I'm going to have to be diving into the mind of.